You could put in the chat if you can hear us. And then the back end, we'll have to figure out why I couldn't hear Belinda. So Sarita says she can hear both of us. So look, Heavenly Father, we just ask that you would just work whatever kinks out, whatever technical difficulties that we're having right now. We lift up your name, God. We know that this is a safe space where your Holy Spirit's going to reign. And Lord, I just pray that while Levon is here, Sarita, and anyone else that comes through on this webinar tonight, that they're able to gather information. God, I'm just leading, I'm listening to you, although I cannot hear Belinda, but Belinda hears my spirit and I hear Belinda's spirit. In your precious name I pray, amen. So ladies, I'm going to be looking at Belinda's face for lip sync, right? And I believe that everything that we're going to do tonight is going to really be helpful for all of us. I just want to do an introduction to you ladies on who Belinda is. Belinda has been a longtime client of mine in regards to personal training. So we met 2016. Belinda owns a salon called Salon BKB in Decatur, Georgia. She is a hair loss expert, specialist, a master colorist. She is a woman of faith. And she is one of my dear friends, my sisters, and also a director for Pink Divas United. Belinda has really been pushing me to start this nonprofit, and I'm just so grateful to have her on board. She has over 40 years of experience in the hair business. She teaches as well, and we're going to tackle this together in regards to hair care, okay, and self-care after breast cancer. So, Belinda, I think what might be helpful if you can hop on your iPhone, at least I can hear you. Okay, because I don't want to overtalk or repeat the same thing.
Absolutely.
Look, technology, we're gonna make it happen, and that's what we do.
That's what we do.
And Belinda is going to answer any questions you ladies have in regards to hair care. So Sarita and Levon, feel free to type in your questions down below, and then that way we can answer them, whether it be here and as well as on the live Facebook that we do after this. So thank you guys so much for toughing it out with us. I tell you, the enemy is busy. Okay. He doesn't want us to do things that are going to bring happiness and fruit to his children. So Belinda, when you're ready, just call me and then we can hop right into this. And I'm grateful that it's Sarita and Levon here. So Sarita and Levon, you guys are both in Atlanta. Okay. Levon and I met right at the same time as my diagnosis. I saw her just recently at the Pink Awards in Atlanta, and Sarita Levon is in Atlanta, and she was my children's assistant principal when I was going through breast cancer. So lots of connections there. If you guys want to, if you feel comfortable sharing in the chat what type of breast cancer you both had. Okay. Are you still trying? I still can't hear you. If you unmute, you're muted now, Belinda. Can you say anything?
Can you hear me?
How about your other BKB one? Unmute that one.
Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you. So yeah, just call me on the cell phone and hopefully we can make it happen from there. So I will just share, since I know you guys are typing in the chat. I had stage 2 ERPR positive lobular invasive carcinoma, and I am BRCA2. And I was diagnosed August 13th, 2018. Okay. Belinda?
Can you hear me?
Okay. So, Belinda, can you speak?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. So it's a little echo. And I don't want you to mute.
So I just turned the phone down. Does it still echo?
Not really on my end, but if I mute my my Zoom, then they can't hear me.
Right.
So, all right, ladies, we're going to dive into this the best that we can because I don't want to waste your wonderful Sunday evening. And I don't know why I can't hear Belinda, but you all can hear me, which is weird. But I wanted just to dive in first about self-care, right? Before we talk about hair care, because we know that it's very important, ladies. I mean, you know, this is probably stuff that we all know, Lavon and Sarita, but sometimes we need to hear it again. And I know, you know, Sarita and I, we had a conversation not too long ago about the Thriving Retreat to Dubai and how your family was talking about how it was much needed. You know, if we're not taking care of ourselves, ladies, if we are not recognizing the signs, this is a safe space. Okay, this is a safe zone, and I know the Holy Spirit is here to empower us and to allow us to thrive through life. And when we are trying to do so many things, or we're looking outward instead of inward, depression happens, anxiety happens, hair loss starts happening, right? And we're not even talking about the side effects of the medications that so many of us are on after breast cancer, right? So that is so important that we recognize those signs that we need self-care, right? If you're extra tired through the day, right? That is a sign that self-care needs to happen. If you are not eating on your normal schedule, that means that self-care needs to happen. If you cannot sleep at night and you're just restless all through the night, you're not feeling well, you have headaches, people are telling you that you're not really nice to be around anymore, that's a sign that we need to do self-care. Depression is real, ladies. I go in and out of it. I'm not on medication for it, but I know when I'm depressed. I know when I feel like the weight of the world is on me, even when I'm in the Word sometimes, right? Because we know that we're not immune from it. These are all things that come full circle when we're not taking care of us first, right? Because I know for all four of us that are on this webinar right now, I know our hearts. When people call, what are we saying? Yes. Okay. What time? We need to get in a season where we're saying no, when we get comfortable to say no and get comfortable to say yes to us as it relates to self-care. So let's talk about that. What does self-care look like? Self-care can be as simple as getting a massage. Self-care can look as simple as going to the gym, working out, right? If you can't make it to the gym, popping on YouTube, right? And doing a quick 10, 20, 30-minute workout. Self-care can be, guess what? Taking a nap. Can I say that again? Some of us, we need to go back to being a baby again and take a nap. It is okay to unplug, unwind, get off social media for a minute, right? That email can wait, right? If we can just have a little bit of us time, a little bit of time in fellowship with God, because a lot of times our self-care is direct relationship to our time with the Father, with God, right? When we're running away from him, we're not seeking his face every single day. First, right? We're seeking the news apps. We're seeking our emails. We're seeking our spouses or, our girlfriends or whatever have you. Anything that is putting before God, right, is a no-no. And I'm at fault of it too. Right? I do this too, right? But when we're in this habit of talking about it, we realize what we need to put as a priority. And when our tank is full with God, then guess what? Our self-care is up, right? We're recognizing that we need to take a break. We're recognizing that we have to say no to some things that are not going to be conducive to us and our health, right? Also, self-care can be making sure our emotions are intact, right? Which goes back to the anxiety, which goes back to the depression. It is okay to seek out help. So many of us as survivors, we wear this mask, right? Because everyone thinks and expects of us, oh, you're done with chemo, your hair has grown back. Now it's time for you to act normal again. And we're holding on. We have so much weight on our shoulders, ladies, that is preventing us from recognizing that we need to help. Sometimes being shameful to reach out for the help. I want to tell you, ladies, I want to encourage you, ladies, right now, if you have not already done so, it is okay. It's okay to say, sis, I think I'm having a bad day, which is turning into a bad week, which is turning into bad months, which is turning into terrible years. I need help. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't, I can't stress enough. This is a safe space, right? So self-care can be like, for instance, Belinda and I hooked up about a month and a half ago for her birthday. And look, LaVon says, I love my therapist. Yes, and we just went to the day spa. I mean, of course, it was her birthday, her celebrating her 60th, but that girl time was so needed to unplug, to talk about things that we might not have felt comfortable talking about with other girlfriends, right? For fear of, right? If we can only get to the place where we're not afraid of how people are going to receive our stories, right? Then we would be able to heal and have self-care so much more than what we have it now. Yes, LaVon, I love that. She says, girl time is so healing. And just laughing, right? I mean, when is the last time that you popped in a movie or popped some popcorn just by yourself, right? Yes, laughter is like medicine. Like, it's been a long time since I cried. I laughed so much that I cried, right? When you, back in the day, you would laugh so much, you would have tears coming down your eyes and sometimes a little something else coming out, right? Like, just let it loose, let go and have self-care happen. Self-care is also, lady, our regular checkups. Right? Going to the doctor, making sure that we are going to the dentist, right? And our teeth are right. Because I don't know about you and LaVon and Sarita and LaVon, but I had this terrible dream before going in for my double mastectomy that I lost all of my teeth. It was the weirdest thing. And studies show that after you go through chemo and sometimes radiation and the post-treatment medication, it does something to our enamel, our bones, right? Our teeth. So self-care is making sure you're going to the dentist and checking out those teeth. Self-care is making sure that you're going to your OBGYN appointments, not just to see our oncologist, right? And also diving into some of the other elements of our health. So Belinda, I'm going to allow you to take it over real quickly because, all of these things that I mentioned, ladies, if we're not doing self-care and we're stressed, outside of the medications that we take that can cause side effects to our hair is going to fall out.
Mhm.
So Belinda, you take it over, mama.
So, Astrid, as you were talking, I was listening to so many points that you brought out that as a licensed hair therapist, and which is what I call myself, a licensed hair therapist. And because it's more than just the styling, it's the treatment of, it's the analyzation of, it's the paying attention to, just as though you were with your therapist, as Lavon was saying, our job is to kind of pay attention to the ebbs and flows so that we can be a partner in the process with you, not just show up just for the style at the end for an event, but be a partner along with that. And so, Astrid, you said quite a bit in the whole self-care arena that goes all the way over into the hair loss, the hair concerns, the what am I going to look like when I'm finished with chemo, my hair's going back, now what? And so I've and I don't want to say had the opportunity. God has blessed me to have journeyed with a few clients, along with my friend Astrid, along this horrific path. But praise God on the other side. Praise God that on the other side, your hair will grow back. It may be a bit different, but it will grow back. So let's just talk about what we're looking at, what we're dealing with. Why is self-care so relevant to hair care? That by the time I am with one of my patients, my clients, and I'm seeing the hair change, it means that 3 to 6 months before then, something happened. Hair loss happens from a trauma that interrupts the very natural nature of your body systems. So what God has so brilliantly did for us is to give us signs to help us know along the way when we need help. Whether that's, as Astrid was talking about, in terms of decompressing, we don't decompress enough. And so then literally, we carry the weights of all of the concerns, the cares, the, woes, the ups, the downs, all of that. We carry it physically in our body, and it has to come out. And one of the things that I've noticed in the 40 plus year career is that your hair growth, the cycles of growth, are tried and true to tell us when there's something wrong, when there's something that needs to be addressed, when there's something that we need to get checked out, when there's something that is a little off balance. It speaks to us. And so my clients, actually will hear me say this all the time, your hair's saying something. Let's find out what's going on. It's talking to me. Let's figure it out so that we can get it back to a balanced state. And that's what happens and happened during the cancer treatment. There was a traumatic experience that happened, and it abrupted your growth cycle. Just plain and simple. It abrupted the phase where your hair was in, and it said, okay, I am interrupting, I am disrupting, and I am eliminating the messaging that happens between the root and the blood supply and what the nutrients are in that blood supply. So I say it that way to say that if that's the cause, then part of what we have to do is we have to put it back together systematically in order for it to operate as God created it to operate. And so you know, that's it requires an internal and an external combination. I call it an offense and defensive process. And we've got additional workshops that we're going to be talking about some of this in depth, but I just want to kind of give an overview as to some of the processes there, the internal and the external. So from the internal perspective, as Astrid was speaking, your emotions and your stress level, you have to control that and you have to manage it, because what happens in those states where you stay in a over hyper emotional state, where you're anxious a lot, where you're stressed about a lot, where you're not getting rest, where you're not eating well, these are disruptors. The disruptors will affect how your blood carries nutrients and vitamins all the way throughout. So I want you just to imagine this, that before your hair follicles are fed, your lung, your heart, your kidneys, all of your vital organs have got to be fed first. That's essential. So what happens to your hair bulb that pulls all of the nutrients, minerals, and vitamins from the blood into the hair bulb in order to help it to grow? It's going to take care of all of those things first. So anything that disrupts that is already minimizing the small amount that you're going to get anyway. So the critical part now is that, as Astrid was saying earlier, your self-care, you're prioritizing yourself. Okay, ladies, we have to take the time to prioritize our well-being. Sometimes it feels like we're being selfish, but we're really not. We're practicing the very first thing they tell you on a plane. Pull it down and put your mask on yourself in order for you to be at the optimum condition to help those around you. Because if not, that's what's going to happen. We're going to have a slow decline. We're going to have a decline that may not be able to come back. Okay? So with that said, an internal, what are some of the things that you can do from an internal perspective? Eating, because what happened during the process of your treatment, the toxins, they had no way to know whether they were killing good or bad. They were just killing anything that needed to go away. So what's happening now is you have to replenish from an internal perspective. What are things that help your hair? What are things that give your hair life? Green, leafy vegetables that are steamed and not overcooked and or raw. Asparagus, spinach, broccoli, a nice green tossed salad. These are very vital because of the fibric essence of them, but also the antioxidants that are in it. Those are, even under these circumstances of what we're talking about and dealing with, we need those in order to add strength to the hair growth. Okay, so a good healthy diet and eating on a regular basis in order for your metabolism to be at its optimum is important for hair growth. I know Astrid stays on me all the time, because it's like, you know what to do, but then it's like, oh, I don't feel like doing that. But again, it goes back to prioritizing self. So when we think about it in the terms of we are prioritizing for the well-being on the long term, it's not selfish. It really is about making sure that we're doing the best that we can while we can. I'm going to say while we can one more time, because we do not want the hair bulb to disconnect completely. Now we're in a state of alopecia. And we don't want to give too much time in between the hair falling out and then the hair regrowth to happen, and us feeding and supplying the right nutritional value for the hair, okay? So remember, the hair gets it last. It has cycled through all of the vital organs in your body before your hair bulb will get a morsel, which means you have to have enough in your system to supply a good amount of food for the hair, right? And then we want to keep the stress level down. Because what happens, and you probably have read a lot about this, and I'll try to just kind of say it in a nutshell. Your anxiety level emits cortisol. Cortisols offset your hormonal balance. If it stays high for a long period of time, the defenders have to go, and it has to stay in this section of your body in order to try to get it under control. So if it's all of the fighting is happening here, gut, liver, all of these lungs, all of this area, and it doesn't have a chance to even do any of the other work anywhere else, by the time it gets finished, it's so tired that it's trying to come up through the main source, through the back, all the way up through the head, up into here, up into this area, which is generally where we're the thinnest, right? Because the reason it's a little thicker back here is the main blood supply right here in the neck area. That's where most of the vitamins are as it begins to travel up. So it's feeding all of this, feeding it all nice and good, but it has to travel all the way from here, and it has to get all the way up into here, which is why we tend to have thin pockets here and here and here. Does that make sense?
It sure does.
So I try to break it down like that so that we can actually, if we can envision what's happening, it helps to motivate us to do the right things on a consistent enough basis in order to eliminate the damaging habits that we all have. And we all have it. Lord knows. I'm wearing my hair pulled back, and I do that because it's easy, but it creates stress all along the perimeter and the hairline because you're pulling it out of its natural fall all the time. And that tension is stretching the hair opening for the follicle. And so you want that opening. It's just a little round where the hair is down on the inside. The more that we stretch it, it's easier for that hair to pop out. So, and I digress only because I got to the my hairline as I was talking, that when you do find that you pull your hair back or you wear it in a singular style a lot and there may be tension with it, at night, loosen it. Don't sleep with it that way. Allow it to have its natural fall at some point so that it has a remembrance of what it should do versus this artificial way that you now have it pulled on a regular basis. Okay? So we were talking about our cortisol levels. We were talking about balancing. That's why the diet is important in order to balance. That's why meditation is important. Even if it's just 5 minutes, 10 minutes in a bath, or you've got a quiet place. If you got to go in the closet, I need you to find a space that you find quietness to center yourself, to center your thoughts, to not be trying to figure something out all the time, just to be quiet. This you do for your hair growth. This you do for the care of your scalp. I have 2 things that I now do that I did not do 10 years ago. I treat your scalp and your hair as 2 entities that must coexist together. If your scalp is damaged, if your scalp is inflamed, if your scalp has dermatitis issues, it can never grow healthy hair. And so a lot of times we are so conscious about what the hair looks like that we don't put enough care into the scalp. And therefore we end up allowing there to be something that needs to be addressed, overlooked. And the longer it's overlooked, the more likely we are to have permanent damage. And so I want you, if you don't take anything away from tonight and this messaging, 2 tracks, scalp and hair. Your scalp must be cleaned on a regular basis. If it is not cleaned on a regular basis, it then gets layers of natural oil, because your body produces natural oil all the time. And so it builds up and continues to build up until it is cleaned, or what we would call detoxed. Why it's important, especially after you've come through toxic chemicals going throughout your body, is that those chemicals leave residual effects. That residual effect, even after you're done, it needs to be taken away so that this scalp now can come back to its youthful healthiness. And in that youthful healthiness, you'll find that the miniaturized hair, because I'm sure Levon and Sarita, you can let us know in the chat. When your hair started to grow back, it was thin. Astrid, we talked about this quite often. It feels almost like baby hair. It feels immature. It feels great because it's clean and it doesn't have toxics embodied in it. And so therefore now this new hair performs like baby hair, but it has to mature. And as it matures, if it's exposed to toxins, it behaves like a toxic environment. So while it's in this cleaner state, I found that when I detoxed my clients that had came through post-cancer, we started a regimen of detoxing and cleansing the scalp for cleansing the scalp alone, and then treating the hair. We found then that the hair started to thicken back up again, that the strands became a little bit more voluminous, that it performed better long term, and that the hair stopped feeling so fragile. Okay. So in the beginning, that first part of coming out, you find that that hair, and that's what we call vellus hair. Vellus hair simply means it's baby. It's fragile. It's virgin. It has not been subjected to a lot of wear and tear. It has not been exposed to a lot of toxins. However, remember we talked about that the hair follicle, the hole itself. The reason it's also miniaturized is that as you went through the treatment and it was wiping everything out, it was causing your hair follicle to close a little tighter. So the hair had to fight a little harder to come up, which meant it miniaturized and it was small, very, very thin. So now, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, you now have this new head of hair, right? It's beautiful, but you want to get back to a little bit of you. Astrid is smiling because we had this conversation.
Well, if I can jump in, and I tell you, like, Belinda is like my kindred spirit, because I will think it, she will say it. And I'm glad that you touched on scalp care, because I had that down here. about scalp care, because I don't know about you ladies, but you know, especially in the summertime when it's hot and the sun is out, it's almost like you can smell like a burn smell from your hair. And what do you think is happening to the scalp? So it's very important that we are protecting ourselves, especially with having new hair coming back from chemotherapy. And although we are not 3 months, 1 year out, you know, 5, 6 years, 7 years out from having chemo, Belinda will tell you, you know, and this is why we're going to have a series, because we're going to be touching on more in depth a lot of these issues that we struggle with. How soon is too soon to color? Because I went ahead and colored my hair maybe a year after it mostly came back. And I had to be on the phone with Belinda, with the stylist in Florida, because she didn't know how to treat newly grown hair from chemotherapy. And it fried it. Sarita and Levon, it fried my hair and it took a while for it to grow back. Okay. And now, which is another reason why it prompted me to do this series, self-care and hair care, is because at 5 years out on hormone blockers, right? I'm now noticing my hair shedding and breaking. So Belinda, I want you to talk very shortly, because we're going to have different series, ladies. We're going to have a trichologist come on, and the goal is to be able to offer a discounted or a pro bono session with a trichologist. Kelly, it's chemo brain. What's her last name? Thaddeson, to be able to consult with you guys, whether it's in person or via Zoom. This is her arena, hair loss, right? Belinda, can you break down the difference between hair shedding and hair breakage?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shedding versus breakage is that your shedding is actually coming from the root, meaning there's an intercellular problem, meaning that there was something, again, y'all hear me use this word, that disrupted, you know, the strength of the hair at the root level. And so you'll see long strands, like almost fully intact long strands. And if you look closely on some, you'll actually see a white bulb. And that is literally where it's been ripped out. So you would just imagine if somebody took a piece of your skin off and tore it, how there would be a shattered piece there. That's what's happening when you're shedding, okay? And when it's breakage, you'll see short, long pieces all the way throughout. So you'll feel that the hair is still at the base, but they're just pieces of hair gone. And where you had a long strand, now maybe it's down an inch or so, or 2 inches, but it's broken in between. The causes are different. Your shedding happens because there's something, again, there's a signal, there's something wrong. There's something wrong internally. There's something that's causing your hair not to be fed properly. And so it's releasing itself from the inside. Breakage happens as a result of mechanical heat, blow dryer, wrong color, manipulation, braids too tight, braids left in too long, chemical application applied wrong, over processed. So those would be external mechanical things that would have caused your hair to break in different pockets where the hair became weaker, right? Your treatments would be different because the source is different. The treatment for shedding may even be a combination between your doctor and the hair salon, because what we're doing, there needs to be something that stops the interruption that's happening that causes it to come out. Shedding, we need to find out what the root cause is and do a combination between protein, moisture, and oil. Those three types of ingredients used in different products will help us to address what may be causing this damage to the hair strand that's causing it to break. Astrid. Yeah.
And I think that's great. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to turn you down because I hear the echo. So ladies, it's 6:40 and I know, right? Look, we had a few little hiccups in the beginning, but like I said, this is a safe space. And thank God for my people, Sarita and Levon being on here. And we're going to have to I will figure out on my back end why I couldn't hear Belinda. But nonetheless, write down your questions that you have for Belinda and even for myself. This is a very transparent group. We're going to be very authentic and raw with Pink Divas United and any education that we bring forth to you ladies. So if you know of any other breast cancer survivors, please tell them to follow Pink Divas United on Facebook as well as Instagram, and also to join the private Facebook group Pink Divas United, because that is where we'll be doing our live Q&A sessions. Even if you ladies can't jump on right after this, Belinda and I, we're still going to do a live Facebook Q&A and answer those. So that way you guys can always go back and see those answers. But this is what's leading up to the series that we're going to be having. We're going to do self-care and hair care, and then we're going to dive into self-care and healthcare. So they're going to be different educational series because I think this is so needed for our community.
Yes, yes. And thank you guys so much for allowing me to just share a little bit. This is what I love to do. It is my calling. Being behind the chair is my ministry. And so any information that I have, I gladly share in the quest to bring your most beautiful self to the forefront anytime, anywhere. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Belinda. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sharing Belinda Baker's information as well as her salon's address. And I want to leave you ladies with just a few little snippets on self-care. So what I do in the morning is I write down my gratitude. So after I get in my word, after I have my meditation with God, I write down my gratitudes, 3 things that I'm grateful for that day. And I write down my affirmations. On this wall here, you can't see, but I have affirmations written down here. That is something that's in the works. I really believe in doing because we're speaking back into ourselves. And lastly, be kind to yourself. Let me say that again. Be kind to yourself. Speak beautiful things back to yourself. I know sometimes breast cancer can be ugly. It leaves ugly scars physically and emotionally and sometimes spiritually, but be kind to yourselves. Ladies, I can actually say this and mean this. Levon and Sarita, I love you ladies. I hope I don't get emotional and cry. I love you guys so much, even though I don't speak to you every day, but you have been a part of my journey of healing. And when I see you guys, it's love. It is so good. And Belinda, I can't thank you enough. My sister, my friend, and my mentor, one of my closest confidants. Thank you so much for giving of your time and your expertise in this space, because you know what we go through. And this is my calling for Pink Divas United, to bring that touch, that intangible feeling to our community, because we're missing it.
We are. And Astrid, just to, I'm sure as I speak, Sarita and Levon will attest to, you were called for this. God, he chose you, handpicked you to be a face that would be willing to stand out, to shout and scream your love for him and your love for the friends. And it is an honor to be able to stand with you, beside you, and support this cause, because we need it. Women need it. There's a void, and He is thrusting you forward in this moment, saying thank you for taking up this mantle, and the willingness to carry this mantle, even when it's heavy, even when the time doesn't seem that there's enough. He is smiling. He is happy. He is saying, my daughter, thank you. I love you. I got you. You don't have to worry about a thing. We are here for you. We love you.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, ladies. This means so much to me. And we're going to hop off now and we're going to go to Facebook. We're going to spend just a short time on there answering your questions and just really getting in. If you ladies can't join Facebook, that's okay. Belinda and I will still answer these questions that have come in via email as well. And like I said, just tell your girlfriends to follow us, and as well as the spouses and partners, we're going to be having my husband give back on the website quarterly with his blog to speak about his perspective and how he can help those out there. So love you guys. Thanks for hopping on, and we'll see you on Facebook. Bye.
Bye-bye.